Well, thank you very much, Program Director. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take the opportunity to acknowledge the Executive Mayor of Buffalo City Metro, Cllr Xola Pakati. I want to ensure that everybody knows him very well. Xola Pakati. I must as well, in absentia, acknowledge the Deputy Executive Mayor, Councillor Matana. I must acknowledge the presence of Reverend Blakey. I must as well acknowledge the presence of the Mayoral Committee Member for Corporate Services in PCM, Councillor Tony. I must take the opportunity as well to acknowledge the City Manager of Buffalo City, Mr. Andile Sihlahla. He is not alone. He is accompanied by a team of senior officials, especially from the Office of the Executive Mayor. I must take the opportunity as well to acknowledge the presence of all CEOs who are present here, that include the Program Director, as well as CEOs from Ubela, as well as Bishop Hospitals. I must lastly acknowledge the presence of Osingaye. I'm not sure Osingaye in English. Osingaye, our respectful and honorable nurses from all the 5 hospitals, Cecilia Makiwane, from Ngubela, from Grey Hospital, from Frey Hospital, as well from Bishop Hospital. I feel greatly honored indeed to welcome you all to this august occasion of honoring nurses that have excelled in their duties in the Buffalo City Metro. This occasion is taking place during the Women's Month, as we all know, whose origins emanate from the 1956 Women's March to the Union Buildings, which was led amongst others by Mama Albertina Sisulu. Not only was Mama Sisulu a female liberator, but she was a nurse by profession. Her passion for the liberation of the people of South Africa can be associated with the dire conditions which she experienced in her line of duty. Her love for this nation did not only end in the corridors of the hospitals in which she practiced, but went further into the streets of the country. Let us remember and emulate her example and her teachings. Nursing as a profession is a discipline that represents and resonates with the fundamental values of our society. Amongst those is the concept of Ubuntu, which refers to humanity and humbleness, serving the people, caring for the vulnerable, weak, and those who are less fortunate. Selflessness, which means moving beyond the call of duty to uplift human development. The care, or rather nurses serve as well as caregivers, because nurses serve as mothers of the nation, or rather they are also male nurses, as mothers and fathers of the nation who nurture, harness, and sustain humankind. Respect and dignity, which is to instill and restore human dignity and respect to build a healthy and developmental society. And these are the disciplines that underpin the service that is rendered by nurses across the globe. Like Mama Sisulu, Florence Nightingale Sisulu, our nurses dedicate their time to care for our infirm and the weak. The struggles of the women of this country to liberate themselves transcends the political sphere, but covers the socio-economic arena as well. You do not only attend to the physical being of the sick, but also attend to the psycho and spiritual being by giving hope where none is in sight. Nurses provide what even close family members are unable to provide to their people. As I welcome you all, I urge you to keep up the good work and emulate the legacy of your predecessors like Mama Sisulu and the others that I've mentioned before. This nation will not be entirely free when our people still suffer from incurable diseases. You are the beacon of hope of our people. You bring joy and happiness to many hearts. Continue setting up the good examples to young and aspiring health professionals. Your achievements are not only for you and your families, but that of the nation as a whole. We value and respect your efforts in keeping our nation healthy and strong. You know, the service of nursing is a genuine call that is closer to God. Events of this nature ought to be profiled and shared with the communities so as to instill hope and courage for the current and future generations. With those few words then, may I say, take off your jackets and enjoy this occasion. You are all welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Mtsi. I always say to my family and friends that I'm a very submissive, obedient woman. So you may have noticed that I've taken off my jacket. Thank you very much for welcoming us, Councillor Mtsi. And I also want to urge you, you've been a very well-behaved audience so far. I must say, you're making my job very easy. But we do want to invite you to relax and just enjoy the moment today. I was reading, as I was preparing, I came across one or two quotes, and I just thought on a lighter note to set you at ease as well. I thought I'll share with you what Warren Beatty, you all know Warren Beatty? He's an actor in his 60s, very famous actor. What he said about nurses. He said, how can anybody hate nurses? Nobody hates nurses. The only time you hate a nurse is when they're giving you an enema. And some of the nurses are laughing too loudly, so you probably are familiar with that. Ladies and gentlemen, although Councillor C has listed some of the guests here, I have been asked to formally introduce the guests that we have here today. I started out by saying that today is a very auspicious occasion, and auspicious occasions always have very important guests. So I'm going to do it formally, and I'm going to start with our political leaders. If I could ask you to stand, and then we will ask everybody to acknowledge. I will start with our Executive Mayor, Cllr Xola Pakati. If you could please rise, sir, and if you can acknowledge his presence. Councillor C has indicated that the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Matana, is not here at present, but I am going to ask the DCM councillors, the mayoral committee members, and the committee members of the Women's Caucus to please rise so we can see who you are. Thank you, sir. Now, we wanted to acknowledge the political leaders because they conceptualized this event of acknowledging nurses during the centenary year. And the people who made it happen are the administrators. Once we have the political will, the event then needs to take place. So I'd like us to acknowledge and ask them to rise. The city manager, Mr. Cllr Xola. And he's supported by the top managers, the HODs of the different directorates. Are they in the room today, sir? I did see the GM, Mr. Kangile, around. Thank you, sir. As well as the staff of the Mayor's office. So clearly these are, please rise so we can see who you are. And then you've already met the Bishop Blackie. Thank you, sir, for the opening devotions. And then there's the management of the 5 BCM hospitals. I'm going to ask them to rise. The CEOs and senior managers. I'll start with the district hospitals, Bishu and Grey hospitals. The TB hospital, Mkhubela. The regional hospital, Cecilia Makiwani Hospital. Management, please rise. And then Freya Hospital, with the management, please rise. And then, as Councillor Mtsi mentioned, there are 35 nurses who are being honoured today for their role and the recognition of the role they play in our communities. Could I ask all 35 to rise? Thank you very much. You may be seated. I think you would have noticed that although I asked them to rise, they did so slowly. And I think it's because nurses are so often used to doing the work and being active that it's sometimes difficult for them to accept praise, because they don't do it for praise, they do it for the love of the people that they serve. So another round of applause for those nurses. As I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker, I wanted to leave you with a quote by Donna Cardello. She's also a nurse. And she says, when I think about all the patients and their loved ones that I've worked with over the years, I know they don't remember me, and I know I don't remember all of them. But I do know that I gave a little piece of myself to each of them, and they to me. And those threads make up the beautiful tapestry in my mind that is my career in nursing. So when you're a nurse, you know that every day you touch the life of someone and someone touches your life. On that note, today we be saluting you. And on that note, I'd like to call on our keynote speaker to give praise to you on this day. The Executive Mayor, Councillor Pakati, please come forward, sir. Xola Pakati. I also met when he was in the provincial legislature. He was then deployed as the deputy mayor of BCM, and after the elections he was appointed as our mayor.
Program Director, Dr. Wagner, Speaker of Council, Honorable Alfred Mtsi, Reverend Blakey, and other religious leaders present, Councillor Tony, member of the Mayoral Committee present, and other councillors from our city, the CEOs of all 5 hospitals from our Metro, PCM, City Manager, Mr. Slater, and the rest of management present, the selected nurses from the hospitals of our Metro. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is an honor for me to be speaking here in this event, which is held with the sole intention of recognizing women nurses from our Metro who have committed themselves to the profession in accordance with the Nurses' Pledge of Service, which says, and I quote, I solemnly pledge to the service of community and will endeavor to practice my profession with conscience and with dignity, end quote. That's the first line of the Nurses' Pledge. We have decided to have this event mainly because of the role that nurses have played in not only creating healthy communities, but in social and political transformation in our city and in nation. In an attempt to limit the progress of black people in other professional fields, apartheid designated nursing, teaching and social work to be the main professions for black people, while engineering, architecture, science, and various other fields were the sole preserve of white people. This did not deter black people from developing the necessary love for these professions and using them for the liberation of South Africa. There is all evidence that nursing, teaching and social work professions were used by women of South Africa for uplifting the lives of our people and for mobilizing against the apartheid state. South African women turned these professions into instruments for the destruction of the apartheid. We are all witnessing the fact that in this democratic era, these professions are now being used for social transformation and the building of a united nation. We are gathered here to recognize the role of the nursing profession, and mainly female nurses, also because we are in the centenary of Mama Cllr Albertina Sisulu, a struggle icon and a symbol of women emancipation in South Africa. Sisulu was the only woman present at the formation of the ANC Youth League in 1944. She was part of the organizers of the 9th August 1956 Women's March, which is now remembered as Women's Day in our country. Sisulu was a co-president of the United Democratic Front and a leader of the Free Mandela campaign. What is often not mentioned is that she was a nurse by profession and had a dedicated career in the health sector. The nursing profession has therefore produced women of such caliber and fortitude. Yesterday we learned of the passing of Mama Zondeni Veronica Sobukwe, also a nurse, a struggle stalwart and the life partner to Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe, who was the president of the Pan-Africanist Congress. This ceremony is also being held in her honor and memory. Honored nurses, we thought it is important that we recognize you, mainly because you do most of the work in our hospitals, but still get stigmatized as impolite and uncaring. It remains a mystery why a conduct of you people in the nursing profession has been used to generalize this noble profession of Sisulu and Mama Sobukwe. We want you to know that you are our pride and you are at the core of a healthy city, which is a key ingredient for a productive and innovative population. You therefore provide strength and healing even to the economic well-being of our city, because no company would want to invest in a city that has an unhealthy population and thus potential labor force. When we go around the world trying to get investment to the city in order to create the required jobs, we mention that we have people who are willing to work. In addition to this, we don't fail to mention the fact that these are healthy, innovative and productive people. All this is as a result of your efforts. This is our way of thanking you for this contribution you are making to our city and to South Africa as a whole. We just wanted to say we recognize your commitment and dedication to the health and welfare of our people. But we also want to thank your management for running credible and viable hospitals in our city. The provincial and district health department also deserve our acknowledgement for their pioneering role in the healthcare of our city and its people. Thank you very much.